Welcome to the Scrabble stream. Let's play some Scrabble. And yes, indeed, to answer the very first question in chat from Joseph, yes, this group is running many hours later than usual. I don't know why that decision was made. Sometimes it's some conflict on the organizers' end. Sometimes it's just to accommodate some new players who might have been interested in a different time zone. But they did reschedule this week's session just a few days ago to start 6 hours after the usual time, which is why we are here. Very luckily, I was able to make it this week because usually I would not be able to make this session at this hour. Okay, so I'm tempted to just shed one of the S's right away and just map this over for at least 6. Other thing that we could do is maybe just go over here and leave ourselves an S hook. I don't know about that. It's a little heavy on the S's. I guess, though, maybe we should take advantage of the parallel somehow. Like if we just go like this to 31. Yeah, keep 2 S's for now, and then we'll see, because we've got lots of S hooks that could be good. You want to undouble the S's if you're going for a bingo draw right away, but with the O, I think we'll just try to keep scoring. And indeed, if it's open for me to just go QS here next turn for 16, I probably will do it. Because the Q is a burden right now. I don't know if anything is going to go down in that spot towards the I. It might not be the most opportune for my opponent, but we'll see. So we're kind of looking at here. I'm not expecting anything really spectacular to be blocking it, because you would either have something ending in the I or something tagging the S hook when I've got 2 of the S's. So as long as we don't get something coming across, for instance, that might still be open. Only a 16-point play, but it would get us out of a bit of trouble. So, rotten with an S. So Stentor would be there. I don't know if rotten actually has an S. I'm going to challenge it just in case, because could happen for 5 point. Yeah, it's good. I did need to check, though. Now, this is a bit of a problem. I might even just change to, maybe even drop QS. Because, or maybe just go Q for 11, although that really blocks off the S lane that would be available for me off of there. Obviously, you have multiple S lanes. You have S lane over here, S lane over here. You have everything going down to the S. I don't like keeping double S in this kind of situation, though. But see, because otherwise I might go something like this, and because O synergizes better with the Q, we'd be giving up on a bingo draw if so. But then maybe trying to keep competitive a little bit with the score. So it's either that or just Q for 11. I'm going to go Q for 11. Okay, so I don't see 7s in this. You have a couple of potential 8s. Adenosis and so on. Somethingness. Adonises, etc. Let's see what we can do. I don't like the situation at all, actually. I mean, why don't we just... Actually, through the end, is there something? Trying to see what we can do there. I don't really like dropping the S's for so little, but this is a bit of a fishy play. That obviously kind of flags myself as having a double S. This really closes off, though, but at least we still have the S hook over skit. It does close off the lane going to the blank S. That's okay. We've got an opportunity to catch up a little bit. Yeah, you got a lot that will go here, and Deers. I think Deaners is also good. We'll see what happens. We'll have lanes either way. And Deers, I think Deaners might be Collins. There might be something else in there, but we'll see. We're looking at a couple of different lanes. Deaners would be 73 here, and Deers would be 68 here. So it depends on what I want to do positionally and what's available, of course. That's no longer available, but let's see what we can do with this. I'm trying to remember if Way actually takes an S before it. I think it might. Because then you can go in Deers or Deaners down this way, 76, depending on whether I like it. I don't really like to drop the vowels next to this spot like that because you've got a pretty massive spot potentially. I think we'll go in Deers on top, despite the point sacrifice. I like it a little bit better. And that drew a challenge. That's interesting. I mean, sometimes in 5-point challenge, you'll have people who just challenge every bingo, and sometimes they might not necessarily have English as their native language, despite very strong players. And so what would happen sometimes is that we wouldn't have the same calculation of what constitutes a common word. And Boss Kitten, welcome. Yeah, you would think that everybody just knows Endears and Skit, but it's a risk assessment, right? Kind of like how I wasn't 100% on Rotten taking the S because I was trying to remember. It feels kind of Scrabble-ish in some ways where you have to work out in your head, have I seen this because it just makes sense intuitively, or have I seen this because it's come up over the board? Or on a challenge board, for that matter. Now, I don't like keeping V and U, obviously, otherwise would be looking at something like Jot. I would prefer to get a play down that sheds the V or the U. Loafer, very nice. We do have a spot here that will drop the J. I think despite keeping the V and the U, we can't really refuse that. That's a little too good to pass up. And of course, I always look for things like under, and then we'll see where this goes. We really do need to get rid of the VU problem as soon as it becomes practical to do so. And we'll see how that goes when we get there. The Y will parallel nicely next to JA, but we don't really have a good play to make use of that at the moment. We'd also often be looking at endings in Y in spots like this. And so we'll just see what happens. Might even just go something like Vined over here. Still kind of awkward to be holding a U, especially with a Q already on the board. I don't think Vine knee has that spelling. I would not try it. I might be wrong, but I'd rather not deal with it. The other thing I could do is hold the V but shed the U and still score decently. 24 over there. 22 over there. Neither leave looks particularly good for me, and I guess that a player who has a better memory for precise equity values would be able to weight it too, but in terms of whether DIV or RUY would be better off here, but regardless, placing is going to make that moot. There is, of course, the reason to keep the Y, which is that the spot next to the J is still open. The other thing, too, is that we can see if we have anything going this way. And I don't see anything that would really make that good. So this gets rid of a bunch of stuff, and it also blocks off the triple. We're kind of even for points right now. I should actually play that, I think. Let's see if I have anything better to do there. But if we're trying to get rid of the VU problem, this is maybe the best way to do it. Kills that spot, and then now we're looking a little bit better. That draws a challenge. In a Scrabble context, this is a 4 that you see very, very often because, of course, it gets you out of VU trouble. Very important one to learn. Now, I don't think still that we have anything that we can really do here with the JA spot. It actually doesn't take very many parallels that are useful down this area. OF would only take the F and a T, for instance, so that's not really going to happen. So unless you're just, fishing off the Y by itself or something, which with this rack, I don't think we're necessarily doing it, not with the double R. The thing that we could do is maybe RY over here. It's a little vowel heavy. 21 points, though. Can't really take that too casually. Also, notice that placing would take an S below it. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty confident that's the case. And so that's something that we need to look out for in the long run. That's interesting. Fish 1. Well, if it's fish 1, then, I mean, obviously this would, maybe drop an S spot here, but then if it is, then it would reopen a triple, so I think we just have to deal with it. With the V in that spot, I can't do much there at all unless I just go rev here, which I might, because the leave is reasonable and it obstructs a little bit, and if it is a fish 1 to go for something like an S hook, it would force something like a starting S to go right, or something to fit here, which under WE makes it a little bit more awkward. So I think given my opponent's play here, I actually should go for this. Notice that Rev in Collins also takes an E in front of it, so I can follow up with other plays to the left. So I think, and the thing is with an RY play that we were looking at earlier, that's still available to me if we need to shed a Y next turn. So I think we'll go with this. So let's see what happens. And the board is pretty reasonably closed. I mean, obviously, these are still lanes. S hook can still go here. W and E here can be a little inflexible because you would need an E something S ending for this spot. And okay, Marge. I'm trying to see if maybe we can do something over here. I think Mary actually is good in this lexicon. But let me consider other possibilities first. Like, we should definitely look at something like the ARY ending as well. Shouldn't just neglect it. Or even Myri. I'm trying to remember. Myriest should be. I think it's good. And looking at the pool, yeah, it's a little heavy on eyes. I think we do it. We know we're playing against an opponent who does challenge pretty aggressively, so I do want to be confident in my plays. We're not ahead by very much at the moment. And so it does still pay to be careful. Notice that we still have the possibility of fives with a heavy consonant at the start and an E ending down below. This is something that we should still be looking at. I don't really see good options for that kind of play at the moment, but we shouldn't neglect a spot. What on earth? Because I can just put a T on this, right? All right, let's see what we can do to really punish this then. So we'll put a T there. We can do something like taped. Or let's see if there's something that we can do that's even better. That would land something like the F. You know, like for example, going down like this, that's even more closed. Taped, of course, wouldn't take an S hook, so that's reasonably closed. Like you would need eights going to the D, basically. I guess. Or even like that, faded, keeping PC. That would really close it up. But, or even fact, 39. Kind of a dangerous spot for this out on the A if you do that. So I'm looking probably at either faded here or taped here for the additional 3 points. Dropping the S like that. Keeping CF or keeping CP? I think we close off like this. Notice, big lane's still available over here. I think I have something. I have Heroic, which is a difficult one to see. Pteroic. Puts the blank on the E. I think maybe we can do something better, but let's consider. I think that's the only one with the E as the blank. But I think with a tropic would be good, but it doesn't fit there. Let's also look at the L spot up top. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I have actually found something. Apricot, actually. But of course, it doesn't fit there. We should, with S, it's tropics, but I don't know if there's anything starting with. So tropics looks like this for 65. Heroic looks like this for 66. Are we worried about that I spot or no F's remaining? So maybe not. But the R is kind of in a bad spot for constants going on top. So I think we'll go tropics. And then the C is in a position that really kills a lot of continuations on the right side. So let's go with that. Feeling pretty good about our winning possibilities at this point. Yeah, I think this opponent just challenges every bingo or bonus, depending on what you call it in your region. You were thinking facet. Oh, okay, I didn't see facet. Facet's almost certainly best. I just didn't see facet on that rack for some reason, even though I was looking for something that would look like that, starting with F, ending with T. I think it's easily best, actually, given the possibilities there. Facet would keep P and D in that. Okay. Big vowel dump over here. Let's see if we can punish. Even if it's something like mold or... Let's see if I have something that will hit even more heavily, like something that would it be... oops, hang on. So I'm looking at something like mold 32 or blend 24. The mold. Mold or mild, given the available pool. What's more useful for me here, O or I? Let's go with that. You have some maybe JAI parallel possibilities still available over here as well. Okay, by the way, notice that massive Z spot over here. I should have actually noticed that. This should have made me think, oh, maybe that's a setup for Z, even though I was the one who ended up drawing it. Now, currently I don't have something that goes there because I would need something OZ. We should maybe keep OZ for specifically that purpose, or do some kind of extremely obvious setup like this, but you'd have to kind of average out your plays if you're making that much of a point sacrifice. I think maybe if we go something... Yeah, I don't want to give up the O at this point. 5 in a bag. 5 in a bag. How worried are we about a bingo 3DX? That's the only thing. Because that's the biggest long shot thing that we could potentially lose to. I'm not careful. Also, I'm really down on time. Let's go with this. Oh, okay, got taken. No, WA is not a word. Let's challenge that. Straight out of here. Do I have something that will get me to an AZ ending? Or an OZ ending? There's 3 in the bag. Now, we know that, however... Oh, you know what? We have Zoa. Didn't I just have that last turn? I had this last turn already. Okay, all right. That was a big... problem. I had Zoa sitting on my rack last turn, and I just didn't see it. Because I was just naturally assuming we'd have to go this way. I didn't even look the other way. So that was not great. All right, we need to not give away a spot for things like Sinewed. Because I see it. Let's just continue to keep things closed. I have autoing outgain, but it will not fit. Unless we have something through the X. I doubt it. Oh, I have 30 seconds. I've got to just play Oxen and close things off. Okay, that's probably not a good play because I actually haven't figured out what we'll do with the rest. Probably, or rather, going down that way. Yeah, Joseph, you saw the ZOA play as well, and you were wondering why I didn't see it. Yeah, that was just a total oversight. A very embarrassing one, too. So let's see. I've got one out up top. And because we'd be looking at this as 13 and out. Indues. I'll check it anyway. I think it's probably right. Yeah, it's fine. Then we'll just play out. Okay. And that's a win. First one of the day. Oh, I also realized that I totally didn't have my notepad up during the game on the stream display. I was not doing anything with notepad other than just writing down the bingos I was seeing. But that is number 1 in the bag. I guess we'll look over it quickly. I'm not going to request a computer analysis for it yet because I'm limited to 5 requests a day, and this might not be one of the more interesting ones. Let's take a look before we get pulled into the next round. So that's my opponent is starting with here. So yeah, we were considering... Oh, actually, it does favor just playing off the S as a 1-pointer. Slightly by equity. But it's pretty marginal. I don't know how that would come out in a sim. Rottens, and then QY actually does come out clearly the best by equity. What were we even considering? Yeah, we were looking at something like ends or something. I don't know. You'd have a Q problem. I think, given that we still had S spots remaining, that was fine. My opponent was in a situation where they dumped all 7. Given that kind of rack, I can see why. And look at that, just mostly a lot of small plays here. I wouldn't have liked to shed to E, I think, in that kind of situation. And then, yeah, Dieners and Endears both available. I did look at the sway hook here, but given that it wasn't 100% and we still had to deal with the vowel spot here, I thought we'd just play cautiously and close up on top. loafer. Yeah, we got a J play here. Oh, I didn't see Juve available here. But I think that worked out. Jalapik would have been available here. What was my opponent holding? Placing with an extra N, I see. I didn't see this. I know Eruvim, and of course Eruv by itself, but I don't think I actually knew Eruvin. And yeah, Jalapik, the purgative root of a Mexican plant. So what do I do here? Yeah, I play. Oh no, this is my opponent's turn. What I've did the fish off one. Whoa. Yeah, my play over here. It's pretty far down the list, but that's again just my equity. Unison, this extension here I never looked at. Kind of interesting. I wouldn't keep this kind of direct though. And yeah, I had looked at this play here. I had also looked at just fish off Y here. Of course, the play that I made was in response to the fact that I saw my opponent do a fish one because I thought that maybe they were close to something. This was actually not at all the case. They just didn't know what to do with the V, I think. But I was totally reading that as fishing off one to set up for something. And so, look at that. Manager's not going down anywhere. Didn't really manage. Yeah, because... Oh, daycare. That's interesting. That would have been the thing I was talking about where you managed to drop the Y on that spot and still extend it. Creamy, I should have looked for something like that as well. Obviously, that's still a little vulnerable to a big follow-up this way, but that area was kind of open anyway. And yeah, this play I don't understand at all. Like, I think my opponent maybe just totally forgot that that would take an extra T on the end and was just trying to undouble the S. Because this play is nonsensical to me. Unless you are explicitly trying to set up your own T or something like that. But anyway, Facet, like I said, this was clearly something I missed. I was even looking at plays like Fact and such. I just, for some reason, blanked on Facet. But clearly best there. Okay, so there was an apricot spot. Oh, I didn't even see that connecting to the S like that, even after I saw apricot as a 7. Optronic, leprotic, prootic, or I guess portico. Yeah, Teroic was the one I talked about, the only one with the E there. So, a bit of a point sacrifice to take tropics there instead, but I think positionally I liked it because you don't have the possibility of a really heavy consonant over the P. And then Lim, I think you had mentioned in chat, that was one that I probably should have seen but missed. Much better. Lim and Nim. And we'll just step through this quickly because I am being called into the next round. So yeah, big miss here with Zoa. Huge, huge miss. But at least it was available to me next turn thanks to my opponent making a blunder. I don't think I knew Aguenauts. And Use goes there. Oh, there's a Got play. Oh, as a parallel over there. I didn't look at that. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, first thing we'll look at is MAN or MEN or MENT endings. I don't think we'll get much of that. I think we'll probably just go like this. And not think too much about it. We've got warming. Only one spot for it at the moment. Well, hang on. These spots here, we'll see if they remain open. I should see if there's something like an 8 that goes with warming. And Joseph, did I miss something on the first turn? I didn't actually take a look. Anyway, Sorehead's going to block Worming. That's unfortunate. I should see if there is something that would work as a second place play. I don't think Worming would take an S. I wouldn't try it. Oh, yeah, no, you were giving me to shake it ahead in response to missing the apricot spot. Okay. I don't know that I have a good second place here. Let's see what I can do. I'm looking at the A's in case I can drop 6 tiles and stretch through the A. I'm not seeing it, though. Maybe we just go worms. I'm always reluctant to just keep ing because it's such a newbie thing to do, actually, sometimes. I mean, N and G go well together, but keeping the G in hopes of having an easy to spot ing ending is one of the reasons why players often massively overvalue the tile until they get a sense of just how much trouble it gets them into. Okay, Vice over there. I don't know that I have anything that will go to that V. I have Vigil coming out of it. I like that, actually. Unless we have something better that would get rid of the U as well. Let me just take a moment here to make sure we're okay with that. I think I am. I always have to remember that I, especially when I'm streaming, should not burn too much time. Because we do talk about the plays for too long often. I'm going to do a pretty low scoring play just to stretch out. Like I'm thinking something like Diuron. Doesn't score very much, of course. But we need to manage to rack a little bit. I should look at potential OID endings or other things like that. Very nice overlap there with Auteur, 19. I am still trying to see if I can stretch something through the A, but I really don't see it. Yeah, look at this corner here, just closing off so much stuff. I think it makes sense to try to open up the right side of the board a little bit. And it's only 14 points, but my opponent also just made a small play to dump vowels. Okay, this is closer to something. I see like beelined through the N. We should have some kind of second place play here just in case that's unavailable. I'm trying to see if we have an IER ending here that would hit both doubles. That's a nice play over there. Soreheads 43. So I think we'll probably go beeline unless I can see something that will go to the R. And I'm not really seeing it. Oops, too high. I might have missed something there, but let's not burn too much time on that kind of thing. Now, this is a big vulnerability right now. I do have some plays of my own to go over there. Yeah, you remember Robin Pollock Daniels saying in some commentary recently that she never sees the point in keeping ing as it never seems to play off, or pay off rather. Yeah, again, it's in some ways a bit of a notable beginner error to overvalue ing. Because the thing about ing is that when you're first learning the game, ing bingos are the easiest ones for you to spot when you haven't started learning things by probability or alphagram yet. And players who are kind of newer to Scrabble, especially, I think, overvalue plays that are easy to spot and easy to kind of know intuitively because of a lack of having developed enough of the words that are actually going to occur and become available more often. And so you end up sometimes having players try too hard to fish for or set up for plays that don't actually have that much likelihood of happening, but which is easier for them to have in mind as a realistic possibility that they are actually confident about when it comes to validity. And even so, you see all kinds of mistakes with, people phoning with ings endings, which are difficult for anybody to keep track of. Okay, so instead of fixating only on this, we should also see if there's anything over here and anything going right off to J. Because I was looking perhaps at something like KERF here, that's 48. Hard to say no to that, apart from keeping the W and the V, which is not great at all. The other thing that we could do is maybe go something like Warp, that's about 40. And in some ways it kills a more obvious spot. But then I'm in real trouble in the next turn. So the thing is, what are we more worried about? Both of them look pretty bad, to be honest. But my opponent just did a very heavy vowel dump. They might not be keeping very many high-value consonants at the moment. I think we try to get out of consonant trouble first. And then, hopefully, this remains open. I don't think the chances are high that it remains open, but we should see what happens. The other thing, too, is that we can stretch out here if needed. Waved is probably best. That's what I would go for if I were given a choice. We might not be given a choice. Also, I have the I now to go under un for uni, not anymore. But that was something that I would have liked to use. Just for 54, that's okay. We can still follow up on this side, I think. And I'm just thinking about what would work here because I was looking at VOB. Vape would also be okay if we want to keep DIW. That's plus 7 points on that, but this feels like it's worth 7 points to keep something much better. This is not really a bingo-friendly board at all right now, though. That's the only thing that we need to keep in mind. But then there's nowhere else that the W would be useful. Also, we should not forget that the E is still wide open over here. That's a very easy lane to miss. So I'm looking at either vape or VAW. We sacrifice 7 to keep this stuff. I think we do. I think we do. Drawing a little too heavily into the remaining E's here, but lots of O's still in the pool, actually. So we'll see what happens on this turn. Yeah, X-ray is going to go down. So things are closing up pretty quickly. It's not really a bingo board. I think we need to rebalance a little bit here. But the scoring possibilities currently are not great. I'm trying to see with the remaining pool what we would be worried about if we... Well, actually, you know what? Do we have something that'll go through? I don't think so. Not with a D in that position. Maybe we just go P or G over here. And that's only 14. That's really not great. It totally kills the possibility of the E lane as well. With the blank still unseen, like maybe we should be going for a bingo setup. So we'd be looking at stuff like this, potentially, and we should keep it open just in case, maybe. This is also still wide open. But if I'm going for something like that, I should... Actually, I'm kind of liking... Oh, no, we don't have an R for grief or something. Nine vowels, 20 consonants. It is consonant heavy at the moment. So we don't necessarily want to go too aggressive with getting rid of all the E's. This is kind of a hard call, this one. Because I'm thinking like 22 over here. That really kills the E lane down below, but maybe we don't need it that badly, or we just go DE 19. I don't know. I don't like keeping a G like that. That's... Okay, we need to not burn so much time on this. I'm burning many minutes on this. But this is a very troublesome decision, this one here. Because I don't like any of the options that we have currently. Oh, I don't like any of this. You know what? We still technically have some lanes coming out of this, just not an A lane going to E. I think we go with this. Just try to score some points. Spent way too much time on that turn. Okay. That's all right. Basically, you know, again, this is that ING situation that we were talking about. We shouldn't count on it. But this is the kind of stuff we're potentially looking at. I don't need a bingo to win at this point. What I need to do is... By the way, we have a Q situation here. A late game Q situation. We also have a late blank that's going to come at some point. We need to, first of all, not lose to the Q. Because this is looking a little Q sticky right now. I mean, you know, you have the QI spot potentially here. But even a person who keeps an I, notice all U's are gone. Even a person who keeps an I might have trouble playing off QI somewhere. So we have to keep that in mind. Blank is still unseen, so an opponent bingo is still quite possible. But we also have potentially a relatively low val situation coming in. It's not critically low. It's about a 2-to-1 ratio. But it's a bit of an awkward pool with lots of duplication. That's interesting. That signals my opponent is in constant trouble, possibly on doubling the S as well. Given that, why don't we just continue to run up this score carefully with something like PE over here? Keeps things open. I guess, unless we want to draw a little more aggressively to blank. But again, we don't want to draw too aggressively because of the Q. I think we should just take the points where we can get them. We have echoing. Echoing will fit on top. Echoing goes here. I'm trying to see if there's something here that also goes to this R. It's a bit of a distant possibility. If we don't get echoing, we need to think about the second choice here, which I think will almost certainly be something like hug. Despite placing that next to the triple, I think it obstructs well enough that it should not be too much of a problem. Okay, echoing got blocked, right? Or did it? No, it got blocked. Now, Philly opens up second spot for Q. 10 tiles in a bag. This keeps us competitive. Maybe. Tonetic. And entotic, neither of which fit. Tonetic and totic. I don't think we'll be given a 7 lane. I don't think we can count on any of that stuff. So, yeah, blank, unseen, Q, unseen. My opponent is clearly consonant heavy. We might just want to kill this spot before they get to it. And then that still has a pretty decently strong leave. This is the main possibility at this point. But we don't need a bingo draw. That's just something that we want to keep in mind. The Q is unseen, but the Q doesn't really have scoring possibilities right now. That's the thing. They're... Well, okay, never mind that. 28 for the Q. And actually would still take an I next to it as well. But it would only really be taking the I next to it. I have the remaining I. I don't necessarily expect my opponent to burn a blank on it. I think we go with this idea still before something else hits that. Okay. Now we're still not hitting something, are we? Because I don't think there's an A starting this. Wait, no. N will go on top. I have to remember, it was a knack right? I think it is. I think it is. This is, of course, one of the first bingo racks you'll learn, but the thing is, uh, as somebody newer to this lexicon, I still have some uncertainty with it sometimes. I don't know if there's anything that would go to the other art. It's there's an 8 in that, but I don't think it's an 8 that goes in this position. Transier. So we have Transier 75. Nacrite 85, although I think that has some problems because NY takes the S in front. And also the O in front, I think. So we'd probably go Transier. And of course, there's a possibility that both of those get blocked. And I don't think there's anything to the F. But we'll consider that for a moment. I don't think so, though. But it's 3 in the bag. We kind of have to assume an opponent blank. There are plays that will block both, potentially, but it would have to stretch far. You have to stretch this far, or you need to stretch this far. Or the other thing that could happen is something going here that threatens a big setup that I can't take. But with 3 in the bag, I don't know if my opponent will actually find something like that would actually risk it. Because what would you even do? Like, let's say he's holding O's. I mean, he can't guarantee that I won't take something if he plays OY, like an OY play up here, for instance, to set up a triple. Like, he doesn't know that I won't be able to take it, regardless of what is still remaining in the bag. Certainly the last few plays, I mean, this was, I think, probably a late Q draw or possibly a late A draw to dump it. But the few turns before that were showing constant trouble. I think one of my plays will go down. I think it's fairly likely, but of course, we've had a couple of things block this game, so it's a bit of a difficult call at this point. I think Transier is good anyway. It looks good to me. I know there's something in that rack, and I can't imagine something else. So let's just see. He's clearly having some trouble deciding here because we don't know what we're looking at from the available pool. Again, I always just kind of have to assume in this situation my opponent holds certainly an S, given the S play earlier, possibly to blank. Spooner. Oh, it does block. It does block, except let's see if we can get something to the S. That does block. Very nicely done. Very well spotted. And that's okay. We might still be able to score decently with the parallel next to it. I have 2 minutes to work this out. Hang on. First of all, let's think about the 8s through S. The only things I can start with here are A or N. And that's a huge rack. That's the canister, cretins, etc. rack. And of course, Nacrites no longer fits. How certain was I that I couldn't have an earlier start? We shouldn't take too long on this. Hmm. Yeah. 24 here. Do I have a good play out of that? Can I play off my C here, perhaps? Hmm. This is an extremely well-spotted block. Now, the thing is, I have an I available here. But then I need to use an I in order to go here. But my opponent can't really hit this too hard anyway. Why don't we go... No, I can't go nectars because of the O up top. Why don't we just take this first? Then we have nectars for 20 over here. I couldn't do that one first. I think we'll probably get blocked, but we just need to play fast. But that's the sequence I see right now. I think it will get blocked, even if it's just BO on the right or something. But if it is BO on the right, then we need to think about what my other possibilities would be. I mean, we can just continue scoring. I don't have enough time to calculate whether that gets me over. That's the thing. If he takes BO on the right, BO on the right would be 12. 361. This is 24. I would lose. If he has a way to go NT, which he will in multiple places. So that would lose. So we need to see if we have a counter for BO, which gets you 361. BO 361. That kills the nectars out. Amazing that I can't do anything with this. BOY. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm over, but I don't, I'm trying to see if I had something like a 7 with the B. I don't think so. I don't. Yeah, well, I mean, I knew there was a loss when I saw Spooner go down, I think, and when I calculated what the sequence would be out of that. Yeah, maybe going QI on here was a mistake first. I was trying to stack some points. We should have maybe gone for... I can't go nectars first, though, that's the thing. If I go nectars first, I had to calculate whether having an O play up top would be something I could outscore with QI. Maybe that was the way to go. Like, I didn't calculate that properly. If we went nectars first, we should have actually done the arithmetic to see if this still makes me lose. I think it does, but, we have to let this one go. Maybe the play was nectars first. We need to see what... yeah, we definitely need to run this one through the actual computer analysis, but I should see what plays were available near the end at least. We should have worked out what the nectar situation was as well. Anyway, let me update the record first. This will be one that we'll want to maybe step through carefully at the end of the session today, because I feel like that was a winnable endgame, maybe, but that was an amazing block on my opponent's part, so... I missed a few here with worming, misgrown and ringworm. We won't have too much time to look at this before the next round, but I'll just step through quickly. We'll for sure look at this game at the end, because it's one that I think will be... Okay, Needlier I did not see. I was looking for something to do. This will be an instructional game, for sure. Oh, I totally forgot that this is the same word as WAQF. And I know it with the Q. I just forgot it also took the K there. And yeah, my opponent's been holding a blank for quite a long time at that point in the game. Just one crazy block after another. Oh, the S would have gone there quite nicely too. Did I miss a spot for Entodic? I did miss the spot for Entodic because I didn't see NY on that turn. I only saw NY afterwards. I saw Entodic, but I didn't see the place for it because I was just blind to NY until too late. And yeah, no outs for me here, although Enactor would have gone as... Oh, that would have just gone out. Okay, let's look at this afterwards. There was a bit of time trouble there at the end too, so... Okay, QI at the very beginning. We'll probably just play it off somewhere, maybe with the S so we have a good spot for it. We'll see what happens. And of course, we have the U there potentially as well for Q plays if we have a good way to get rid of it quickly. Right now, we actually don't. I actually almost think we just play jived or something here, then Q will still go next to this, Q will still go next to this. Maybe keeping it here is not as bad as it looks if we just turn over enough this turn. It looks ugly, but we'll do it. Now, in this kind of situation, unfortunately, that is a little bit awkward. Retreat with an E on the end. This is almost certainly correct, but we'll check it. Yeah, it's correct, of course, but that's okay. We've got the QI spot on top, so I don't mind. A bit of a value heavy leave on my side, but we'll take it. And then we have something Zooey or Oozy here to deal with. Eventually, we'll see what happens. I don't know if this takes an S retreats with an ES ending. It might. Bothrium, very nice. We will... Oh, no, we don't have a Z spot to the left, but maybe... I mean, we could go SOZ to the left if we really wanted to drop the S on that. I don't know if we want to. It might be okay to just go Zobo or Boozy. I actually kind of like Boozy there. Oh no, Boozy doesn't even hit the S, the Z on that spot. Never mind. Or just Ooze for 50, so we don't drop the S there. If we're okay with keeping the Y in that spot. Yeah, we'll go for it. Wasn't fond of how quickly we're shedding some of the E's in this game, but let's see what happens here. And that's going to start closing up a little bit. Now, D would go next to ZO, but we don't really have a good way to take advantage of that. At least not this turn. Let me think about this. I guess we would still potentially have some OB plays over here. Like we just continue stacking. I don't like how consonant heavy that is, but it's not unplayable. I mean, with the blank on my side. Let's make sure I don't have something already, of course. No, I think we just take it. Unless I see something better. I'm looking at some other stuff like Ridgy as well. That 33 opens up a little bit more. I like the OS blank. 31. Now let's take this. Ugh. No, we should have gone the other way. Oh well. Because now we have a G problem. A fear over here. Let's see if I can do something through that. Particularly, yeah, the thing is, E would give me something like sledging. N would also give me sledging. We don't have either of those available, though. Right now, the double G is a massive issue. It's one that's a little bit difficult to deal with. Let's see what to do here. Oh, it's so tempting to just set up an S spot like very dangerously. I won't do it, but it is very, very tempting. Or maybe just go egg over here. Really dangle that thing. Leave the triple open on the right side. I'm kind of talking myself into this. It's probably bad, but we'll go. Something ISM, I don't know. Or DIS. How do I not have something on this? Mislaid. Not that it goes anywhere. Trying to see if there's anything through the A over here on this side, or idealism. No, it doesn't fit. Maybe we just continue to leave it open. Surely I have something here that would get me the S spot. Yeah, mislaid isn't going to fit under egg. That's the issue. I feel like I'm definitely missing something here. But we're not going to sit on that for too long. Okay, so now we have something. We have Mooney's, Noisome, etc. We should continue, of course, to look at the extremely vulnerable R spot that's been remaining open all this time. Something room, for instance. Can we make a room out of this? Gidgee. That actually blocks a lot. That blocks a lot, actually. Dominoes. Dominoes. That fits. We'll see what we can do over here. If we go picker or something, no, not available. But we can just go picks and double the S for 34. That actually gets me reasonably close. I'll look at this carefully just in case we do have something else available first. But actually, I kind of like that. We're still competitive after that. It is not a board for S hooks right now. That's something we need to keep in mind. The other thing that we should keep in mind is that maybe the K here would do something for me, but I don't see very good possibilities right now, except maybe just maybe SIK 37. So currently looking at either undoubling here at 34, which gives us some counterplay on the right side. I think actually we go with this. Because the thing is, I still have the possibility of having an S ending on the right side with the other S. Better to take the hotspot first, not open something up too quickly. I feel like this might actually be something. It's not going to be splicey or something. No, it's not. But there probably was something similar. Now, Volta, the V is going to block off that side. Everything's closing up pretty quickly on this board. I think maybe if we have the Y under here, given that it's not really an S hook board at this point, maybe we should just spend the S on that. Well, yeah, so it would be nice to end with a different consonant there other than the S, but I think we take it. Like, we're still even for points with 12 in the bag, with lots of duplication left, and I'm a little concerned about how low vowel it is at this point. But we do have the last I. So I'm way down on time. Okay. I'm trying to remember. I think that's an exchange 6 going into this. With 9 tiles in the back, really? Okay. That's interesting. Tells me that my opponent is in a really bad situation. We should play nice and short. Nice and short. Maybe take the obvious spots where I don't have a good parallel off of this. Actually, I'm reading that as maybe my opponent being consonant heavy. So I think we just take this. Just take the spots that are available. Four minutes left. The other possibility was making cup or something over here. The thing about cup is that I was holding the S, this, a buffet. Buffet? This game is so tight that I have to consider the 5 points for being wrong if I don't like it. So anyway, I hold the S for this spot here. With 2 in the bag, we need to think about pacing. And synergy. I like Lorne over here. That gives me 5 tiles remaining after that. Likely consonant heavy. A's are the only vowel draws. But the S situation is on my side. The O is a little vulnerable up top, but not to very much, given that my opponent would only have A's available. I don't see an out into, ooh, ARPA 32. Okay, this is a little bit tough. WNN. I don't think I have 2 plays. However, I'm the only one who can take this with C for 15. My opponent will not go out this turn, I'm pretty sure. I have the S on my side. This is going to be a tough one. Let's if I can find a way to play everything but the C, maybe I can catch. Maybe I don't even need that. I don't have much time to look at this now. That's the issue. 14 over here. I can make up a lot of points. But I don't know that I can, like I should be able to make 2 plays, but the thing is I don't know that I can even go out in 2 while still scoring. I have to do this quickly. No, that's not going to go. I don't even have time to map out what my opponent's doing here. I think we do this first and then see what he does in response. No, I don't need to, though, because that's like, if I can win without that, we go 12 here, and then if I can go NS somewhere. I have no time to look at this. I have no time to see if I can outrun. Keep getting into these situations. 16 over here. Do I have RN? I have RN down below. RN 6 over here. I don't. That's not going to score enough. Okay, I think we need to outrun with 2 plays. I have no time to look at this. Sin 14. 14. 8. I might have blown this one as well. Rins 9. But then that would mean that he needs to get a +7 minimum. And that is pretty easily blockable, but like if he just goes W there, but if he goes just W there, then maybe I can still do something. Maybe not. Yeah, I feel like my opponent's going to play W and only W here. And might still be able to win it. Ruins doesn't go. If this is available, we take it, but I think my opponent will see it at this city out, and my opponent has 9 minutes to look at this, so. But then the trade-off is, can I score more? Well, I'm not going to score more than I already am scoring over here. 1. Scores 9. This is going to be a tie. I have to take it. No time. This is going to be a tie. Okay, tie game. I feel like I missed a much better sequence there, but we'll see. Obviously, if I had seen this first, I actually should have played this first. It would have scored the same number of points. I just didn't see it quickly enough. But obviously, we would have taken this first so my opponent could not see a way to block it. And then this was mine to take because nothing would have blocked here. So I did it in the wrong direction. But the thing is, I would have scored the same number of points. So that would still have been a draw either way. But I might have had a better sequence than that. But the right way to play that was to go right side first. I just didn't see it quickly enough. Okay, so we're at 1.5, 1.5. And was there a challenge that cost me earlier in the game? I think there was, but that's okay. Still a good habit to make that happen. We are absolutely going to put this one through the analyzer, but I have no time to look at it right now, so we have to get into the next game. Absolutely, we want to look at this one. Yeah, the time management has been kind of garbage for us here. Now, I think we'll just go bag or gab or something off the top. I don't think I see a 7 in this one, but let's just see what happens. It's one of those racks that totally looks like it should be a bingo, but I don't think it is. We don't have anything to go under the X at the moment. Also, this is round 4. I should change that to be accurate in the display. I think we just go like this. 11 points. Over here. I feel like I've phonied before with Standard. I'm pretty sure I've seen it challenged off. It's not good. The thing that we can still do, though, maybe we can just still continue doing the step ladder, since not a lot of other possibilities exist at the moment. A lot of A's dropping pretty early in this game. And yeah, this is still a situation where we'd probably just continue to build and build and build until we finally get a spot and hit it. Classic beginner level step ladder board where everybody just studied their threes and all they play is threes and stack and stack and stack for 20 points a turn. Until, of course, the entire top left gets blocked off. Okay, a little bit of movement here. I don't know that we have something good to go through the V, though, other than just undoubling here. I might even just do that. Unless we have a much better way to play this. I think that might actually be okay. We still leave ourselves a possibility of maybe coming down with the H, the triple. Hematin, but no, it doesn't go as far as giving me the S there. Anthems doesn't go anywhere. Anthems, Hematins, nothing goes at the moment. But we should continue to see if we can do anything here, even if it's just him for 24. That's reasonable. Ideally, my opponent finally opens up a little bit and gives me a bit of space to work with, and we'll just punish it immediately. I'm trying to work out in my head if Anathems would be good, or I'm just thinking of some combination of Neil Stevenson and Anathema. But we'll see what happens here. Obviously, things are a little bit closed up right now. We have this taking S in front, but not that many other possibilities. First choice play is probably just going to be him at this point. Unless we're given the S hook to work with for anthems. So we'll see what happens. Long turn on my opponent's part here. Does anthems fit here? No, I don't think so. However, actually, does it fit here? No. A-N-T-H, no. Wait. Wait. No, it doesn't work. I'm thinking it's so close. A-N-T-H. Ah, it doesn't hit. Okay. But, and even this way, like, because there's no EY, it doesn't hit. Yoop. I actually might just go HM over here for 35. And things are still pretty closed after that, though, because nothing's going to go over mob. So, you know, I'm keeping this bingo rack, but I'd basically be going for the S start under bow. And Estros through an R. There's really nothing much more here, I think. Neonates through. No, that's not even it. I don't have two E's. Okay, we just need to shed some vowels next turn. HM will take an O in front. That's still too vowel heavy a leave, though. I don't think I'd go for that. Keep in mind that Y will also take something down below. Maybe we should have looked at that last turn, actually. You know, if we really want to stretch out a little bit and score some points, since it really is not a bingo board at the moment. Or even just tau over 12. Nah, it's terrible. Zowana over here for 14. Ew. So yeah, my opponent's also playing really short. Trying to go for something. And go Aya over here for 10. I'd rather keep A than O if I'm able to. But I think we are absolutely incentivized to just keep this tight. And let my opponent take the initiative. This goes down to 14. It's not terrible. Keeping EST out of this. But it is vulnerable to quite a few things in response. Let's continue to go small. This is tonsure, tenors. Neither of which will go down still, but worth keeping in mind in case the openings do come. Out snore through an O. Nothing beginning with the S. Okay, so we will be able to respond to this one with tenors are tonsure. Probably just onshore to not drop in. Well, I mean, either S or an E at the end will still be pretty bingo prone, so I don't think it really matters too much. But we will both hit. I guess this kind of technically leaves two lanes, and then the OUR. Well, no, OURS ending would do the same. So, oh, draws a challenge. Again, some opponents I think are just in a habit of challenging every big play just in case. That's a bit more challenge heavy than I'm willing to do, but I've definitely lost games from not challenging enough, even with the 5-point rule. I'm trying to see if we have something that would drop the F or the C in the proper place here. I don't see it so far. We do have some plays that are possible, like flare. 32. That might actually not be too bad, but Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be too fussy about making this optimal. I mean, now that the Z is down, I'm maybe slightly less concerned about the A spot rather, and the A spot was not that vulnerable to parallels anyway because you can't go right. So I think we just score with flair and didn't keep competitive and try to draw decently. TO kills a lot of stuff, by the way. TO just doesn't take anything in front. And so this is not a lane. Okay, so let's see if we can do something here. Couldn't quite do something like fancy. The only thing I have that would go over MA is A at the moment. I'm trying to see if we can do something there. If not, then maybe we will just go. No, that's too vowel heavy. I'll leave. Can I do something here? And extra typo, welcome. Enjoyed catching some of your commentary on Australasian time earlier this weekend. Hope you've been doing well. Yeah, I don't like the situation. Because I'm seeing, okay, do we want to drop the E somewhere here? Surely I can do better than that. Or if we have something here that can still keep things closed, but gets me into a better situation. Like, do we mind dropping the F there, for instance? Given that we've got a decent lead coming out of that. I was trying to do something with the A on top of MA over here, and I just could not see a good way to do it. Let's just go with that. This looks like it should be something. Let me think about that. Okay, very nice progress. The S associate. I don't think this is good. It's hard to tell with the double N if I would have seen this before. Let's think. Here, maybe I should just keep it open on the right and try to score back a little bit. Or undouble a little bit here for 23 and then leave it open on the right. But it's only really one lane, I guess. I mean, you have this, but then a play on the triple closes things off pretty quickly. Do I mind that I'm basically shutting off the F there? I think it's going to be taken pretty quickly anyway. Anyway, neuritic. There's something else in neuritic. Citrine, okay. So that will go down Here, if it stays open, it might not. I should consider whether there's something on the second E. Doesn't look familiar, but you never know. I have to see it in all caps. I don't really expect it to remain open, though. I think it's a pretty obvious vulnerability on the board at the moment for the player who is ahead. Should see this with a double R as well. I don't think so, though. I think this rec might not actually go that well with eights, but I'm trying to iterate through it a little bit right now just to be prepared for a likely play that will just kill things. I would be kind of shocked if it does remain open, to be honest. But we'll just have to see what happens. Oh, it remains open. Okay, great. We take it. And look at that lovely UVW draw. We'll see what happens. I would like to get rid of some of that stuff, but it's not clear at the moment what we could actually do with it. I don't think we can drop it all at once. Even with the UN start, which sometimes does give you some possibilities. My opponent just dropped 2 tiles on a previous turn, like they were also trying to go for something big. Notice that we have a Q still coming late, but with 2 U's remaining. Also a J coming late if there's anything for it right now, but I don't really see J scoring spots. Apart from the strong possibility that actually something like Juice would go there. Oh, unerotic, okay. Unerotic or neurotic. And of course, we're just in this dreadful situation here with the W. Now, if I can just hit this. Not clear how I'll do it. I mean, yeah, we just don't have the correct vowels to deal with this situation. I'm not that far behind, so the thing is, we continue to score, we might actually have some possibilities here, but I'm absolutely considering whether we have something, given the available pool, like a setup play possible on the right side with maybe just drop PEN something here. Oh, I think that takes the I, though. The other I is still available for that. Maybe we just go this. I was hoping that we could just do some kind of PEN setup. But it is vulnerable to the other I. 2 in the bag. JQ still being a problem here. Yeah, you thought ill was an odd play. It looked like this was trying to draw to bingo. I mean, and one did go down. I can't really infer what was going on before that, but it might have been maybe undoubling an eye on a low point rack that was close to something on a board that looked very open at the time. But we'll have to see afterwards. Okay, I'm a little stuck on this one. Keeping UV, you know, there is kind of a remote possibility of like Kiviut or something, QIVIUT in the right spot. I really don't like keeping both like VUW like that though, but maybe if we go Newt, that does kind of give up on Kiviut. Not that is really going to hit anything good. That leaves, that would draw to a rack of 6. The other play would empty the bag. Maybe we just go Newt. I don't like any of this. Like all the endgame timing is terrible. I don't like any of it, and we're running out of time. I truly do not like any of the possibilities here. Let's we have to just play. I'm out of time. Yeah, the queue is going to go down somewhere. I mean, the thing is that we can't even outpace very well with this situation. We did get the other end at least, so you know this is still available. But then we just have to go vug somewhere before we get V stuck. Yeah, I was very stuck in this end game. Now the thing is, if something like the eye goes down in the middle of nowhere, maybe we can still do something. No, that doesn't even give me anything good to work with. Except maybe ink coming out of that, but then you've got the V problem. Yeah, Luca, I am almost never available to stream at this hour. I think this is the first time I've been on at this time of the day since 3 years ago when I was doing Tears of the Kingdom nonstop. And sometimes running Tears of the Kingdom twice in a day. It's the usual group that we play with some different people, of course, given the time change. But for some reason, they bumped it back 6 hours today. And it was very fortunate for me that I was actually able to make it today because ordinarily I'm absolutely not going to be around at this time. We have something like Kuru over here for 16, and then we need to go with Vin elsewhere. Now, do we have something that will hit now that this spot has been given open? So yeah, the next play is going to be a Q somewhere. There is obviously a Q spot here. Should we just take it? No, well, it's not much in terms of points, and the Q is just going to go down anyway. Can we do a J stick? Can we do a J stick? I have to look around here, but no, O is here, I is here. If the O is gone, is there a J stick? No, because the other O is here. But if we take one of them this turn, then does J go first? Well, no, then my opponent just has a choice of doing J first or Q first, so I don't think I can do a stick. Unfortunately, I don't think I can do a stick. However, what if I actually... I don't think I can do the stick, but I was trying to see if I can do the setup play now that the eyes are gone, but I'd have nothing to follow up with that. We just have to play. I don't see the win. Because I was thinking like, oh, set up the K parallel here. But yeah, the thing is you had 2 O spots. 2 I spots, including a big Q I spot. And the thing is, oh, okay, that's the other Q spots. Okay, 3 Q spots. Never mind that. Let's just continue playing. I can't outpace, I don't think. I didn't see it. Wait, no, we could have blocked the other row spot. No, what am I doing? We had the other row spot to block. I could have totally taken this. Just put a U here and then slow play or something. Ah, okay. Okay, I messed that up. I went for the J stick, and it was still available, and I didn't do the J stick. That's what happens when you're down in time. And I don't even know if that would have gotten me over. Maybe, because then you could have gone. So, okay, no. This was a sequence. OU here. Make my opponent pass on a J unless I'm not seeing something with a J. Then you go N here by itself. Then you go KI here. That's the sequence. They had Jill. Okay, okay, I didn't see it. Okay, never mind. There's no J stick. I didn't see Jill. Okay, never mind that. If there were, though, that would have been the right way to play it. I just didn't have time to look at this properly. But yeah, there were too many possibilities with a QJ. I just couldn't outpace. Unless I missed some out in 2, but it was just such an awkward rack. And of course, like I drew into the second U, but I was thinking, okay, I kind of need to keep a U in case of a Q situation, but the long-term logic of ill, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess there were 2 separate spots for Q without U, so maybe given that, I should not have kept U in the first place, but I really did not see possibilities here, and so we need to sim this one as well. We've had 3 really close ones today already. And with some pretty clear blunders and time trouble in all cases. So let's grab this one for later. And I'll step through some plays now before we're called into the next one. Although I won't do so very exhaustively yet. And then we'll be heading into round 5. Maybe N-E-U-K. Yeah. That's because I was looking for a moment. I was thinking N-E-W-K. No, that's not good. It's a jazz musician, but it's not a word. And I actually should have just remembered in that moment N-E-U-K. But anyway. Wiki. I didn't even look at Wiki. But we'll just look at this quickly to see if there was anything really an obvious howler. No, that's would have taken E down below that I was holding, I guess, if we wanted to mess with that. I did not see this. I saw I was holding anthems. I did not see it through the eye. I didn't even consider it, actually. I was holding anthems. And I actually don't know if this is good in both. Maybe I haven't even seen it. Yeah, maybe I haven't gone that far down in probability yet in Collins or 8s. And so I don't think I knew that I could have played it through the eye. I was trying to look for the overlaps here. I did not see headmans over here either. And yeah, extra typo, you didn't know that one either? Well, now you do. And let's see here. Associate goes down. Yeah, any of these would have been fine, I think. Wow, look at that. That would have hit like crazy, but with the blank, my opponent didn't go for it. Why didn't I see farce? I was looking for something in that position too. That's such an easy one to see. Gruesome. And gruesome. The gruesome twosome. And I was actually trying to find something like that. I don't know if I would have gone for fiancé there, but it is a bigger score than I might have estimated. Progress goes down. I actually missed both of these. Oh, I should know that. I've seen this a billion times. I was actually considering in center at one point, and I was not sure. I was looking at it on my rack and was thinking, yeah, that doesn't look right. But yeah, that's a big miss on my part. Huge miss. And then, oh, actually, Reinsight would still go there. I was trying to write down a rack here too. I thought it looked familiar, and I just didn't see this either. Clearly, we need to work on some 8s. Ritenuto goes here as well. Less dangerous spot. So Wiki, which was the spot we were looking at over here. Yeah, Mang, welcome. Yeah, okay, so that was the Wiki spot that I didn't see. And then, again, I was thinking, this is still very awkward with the U and the V. We'll actually look at it in the proper analyzer afterwards. So who knows if that was winnable, but near the end anyway. Let's go. Okay, so for once we're actually playing with an old friend of ours. And I have to see if I can see a 7 over here. Yeah, Tactics, a regular on our stream actually. Not here right now for obvious reasons, but also somebody I've played with over the board many times. How do I not see what is in this? I see all the 8s with this, but I actually don't even know if there is a 7. I'm going to not burn too much time. I don't see a 7 with it. I probably am missing something, but it's a rack that takes a ton of 8s. Like Diaspora and Parodies and so on. See, those are the kind of high probability racks that look well balanced and look like they are something, and then I'm never sure if it's a miss if I just pass on those. So anyway, let's see what's going to happen here. We can probably just go XO on the left, unless there's anything better that we can do with it. I think XO on the left is fine. Leaves the R behind here as a possibility. And then let's see what happens here. Defacers. I see defacers. Hang on, let's get the drawing tool going on. Defacers. I don't see 7s yet. Refaces has to be good, but I don't see a spot for it. Except for, actually, I don't even know if Apod takes an S. I don't know if I should risk that. So we have defacers, we have refaces. We should consider this carefully. So refaces here, 78. Refaces here, 70. I actually kind of like that. Doesn't give away too much on a triple. This gives away quite a lot on a triple. For not many points. QYY coming in. Not much we can do with the Q at the moment. But I think we just continue to score and rebalance or something. 'Em. 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 mean, if we draw into an I, then you have two different spots for C, I, and Q. So, we can get out of trouble, maybe. No I's on the board yet. I'm thinking something like yay on the right. If it remains open. That's 34. It looks like an absolutely horrible leap, but again, an I actually rescues it. And I don't think unless we have a way to play ply somewhere. Oh, you know what? We should never forget about the FY. Of course, I don't have a good way to use it right now, but that might even be a reason to just go yap, because then you keep Y for FY. If you're in a consonant heavy situation, that might actually potentially get you out. So, for example, with NY down here, I don't think we do NY. Actually, NY would keep the A, and maybe that's a little better for getting us out of trouble. Like, obviously, and that would give up on the sync idea on either side. Or we can just go, ooh, I don't know, that looks horrible. And it kills one of the sync spots anyway, so let's try to survive the queue and just try to score. Ooh, I don't know about this. Okay. Blank will come in. We might have an exchange at some point, I think. Just to get out of some of this trouble. However, we can just play off ply somewhere. We can't right now, but we'd be looking for something like that. Some way to just, or VLY for that matter, if we have a way to drop it somewhere. And we will see. Otherwise, I might actually exchange out of this. If we do exchange out of this, what are we thinking? Are we thinking maybe AL blank? That looks reasonable. I would think maybe AL blank, maybe PAL blank as the leave. It depends on what's on the board, of course, because this is not really a bingo board at the moment, other than the vowel start under the T. Maybe 8s through to C. And of course, anything down to the left side here, which would probably be something like an R ending. So, okay, this actually gets me out of trouble in a very big way, because then we just drop this over here as planned, and this doesn't even reopen. I guess we don't have an F to play WAQ F2. We missed WAKF in an earlier game today. But yeah, we can only let this Q situation drag on for so long. But again, right now it's not really that much of a bingo board, and it is to my advantage to keep it closed. So we'll probably just keep it tight and, just turn over tiles until we can shed the Q in a reasonable manner. So let's just see what happens. Yes, Luca, the tile value is different for each language that you play in, because it is based on the tile distribution in the language. So for example, if you play French Scrabble, I think W and K are worth 10. and Q is worth much less. This Z is still unseen. We need to keep that in mind. I don't have a great way to deal with this right now. I guess P isn't too vulnerable on the left side. Oh, no, WA is not a word. We actually challenged off WA from somebody else earlier today. And I think Collins might have... Actually, no. I can't remember because both lexica removed different stuff, but the W in that position is not so good. I think it is still in Collins, but maybe we just go like this. OF isn't too bad behind. I just don't like keeping so much stuff while we're trying to get out of the Q situation, essentially. I don't want to put the W there because that opens up E endings and such to the left that are going to be a little too heavy to deal with. I don't know if I don't think I'll leave it though. Now the thing is we have an end to play through or a good reason to use an end, and we start having stuff like Kenat, Talak with an L, stuff like that, keeping VW in both cases. I don't think that's really something we're considering at the moment, but we'll see. So for example, like I don't think I'm using the blank for this kind of thing for 34, but it's when we can just do QAT. Like why wouldn't we just do that instead? Actually, that's probably the play. That's probably the play. And then we can finally just get rid of it. In weave, I see. In weave will actually go down. In weave will go down here. It will dangle the S behind it, but that's okay. There are probably some other things with wave and such that will probably go as well. Weaving is also fine. So in weave, weaving, I think we just play in weave. I don't see a reason not to. Unless we can find something better that goes there. I think we just go with what we know. Obliges doesn't go anywhere at the moment. At least I don't think so. We should actually... No, the V kills everything, so... Don't know if there's anything else in obliges. IG... No, it doesn't quite go. But we can just probably parallel next to Q, like big or something there. And we have an S as well to follow up afterwards or follow up here. So looking pretty comfortable at the moment. Yeah, and Luca, you were saying Portuguese doesn't use K, W, and Y at all, and maybe only in borrowed words. So yeah, they would accordingly have a very high point value in Portuguese Scrabble for sure. Man, you're saying you should get extra points for placing funny words. I agree, but style points sometimes can get you special prizes in tournaments. Like there are definitely tournaments that have kind of extra prizes for, you know, ridiculous plays that look like they shouldn't be words, or really fancy plays like stringing disconnected tiles and so on. I don't think you can have like obliges or something. No, I wouldn't try it. But I should see if there actually is something through that E. If not, I think we actually stick to the plan and go big over here or go home. Even though I guess technically that opens another lane on a B. Not a very vulnerable one. But then we'll have two different spots to basically tag an S afterwards. Oh, no, wrong tile. Let's not make that mistake. Does golden take an S? Golden's... I actually don't know. I don't know that I'd try it. It looks familiar, but I wonder if I'm thinking of something else. Like Goldies or... I don't know. It's immaterial. It doesn't go down on the current board anyway. Now, the thing is, does inweave take a D? Inweaved, I guess, would be inwoven. Inweave, like it would probably draw a challenge, so I don't know. I'd try it. Let's see if there's anything that will give me a O something S something. I don't know. Maybe not. Inweave. Inweaved. Like, what do we think? I'm ahead by enough that maybe I'll just try it. Inweaved, inwoven. Unless an inweave is just a noun, that's the risk. Is that because something like an inweave is something you actually stitch, right? Because that way we keep the S in the bag. Or we just, do something less risky and just go with that. Might even be worth it to go down with it because then you obstruct lanes down below. I'm going to try it. Maybe it's no good. I don't think I would try it if I were not 70 ahead at the point. Yeah, it actually makes a lot more sense to go down with it if it is valid. Hags, very nice. Continuing to build there. Just nearly 40 points a turn, just trying to catch. Okay, so inweave will stay on. Without being contested. I should take a look at the LESS and NESS endings. If not, then might just undouble it unless we want to. I definitely want to take the S spot. I'm just thinking, okay, like how obviously do we want to make it that I'm dumping an S to keep another S? I guess this would restrict a little more space. Not really, though. But on this board, do I actually want to dump one S? I think I kind of do. Although there are a lot of spots where you can just like play off one S at a time for okay points later. Let's see. The trade-off is like, do we obstruct one additional tile? Now, looking at the pool, it's not looking very big over friendly right now. It's lots of duplication, lots of eyes coming, T's, etc. Maybe we just play short and just leave ourselves some room to work with. So, in the situation where we want to make lots of small plays with holding all of the remaining S's, we can actually do that and score some points. This is looking a little open at the moment. I was considering whether we wanted to go like maybe Hilo here instead, but it doesn't really make a difference to the kind of consonants that will go under it at the moment, except maybe with T not starting there. But with all of the other consonants in the pool, I guess it would also obstruct an A start. So maybe we should have gone Hilo there instead to obstruct just a few more tiles. At this moment, though, I think we just try to prevent any kind of massive miracle play from coming down from my opponents and just continue obstructing a little bit. B doesn't look too vulnerable right now, so that should be okay. Let's just continue obstructing. U and W together again. Friends forever. Yeah, so you looked it up and there is no K, W, or Y in Portuguese Scrabble and no letter scores 10. Yeah, that makes sense. ERR, I wonder what he's going for here. You only have 8s through the R. He, of course, doesn't see that I have the other S at this point. But basically, this is all that's going on the board right now, and so I think we just kill it. How shall we kill it? Those 7 in the bag. Maybe just continue going nice and short. No. Unless I have a better way of stretching down to here. I think we just go nice and short and just block off a little bit. Do I have something starting with the S with this rec? I don't think I do. I have to look at this carefully, though. I think this is one of those notable non-bingo recs that actually would go routines if I hadn't blocked my own spot here. Routines would have gone down. But I don't think I have anything. There's 3 in the bag still, so if we really wanted, we could, fish off 2 and because I'm holding the S, so I kind of hold the power here. Are we worried about something going down there? Probably not. We can just do 7 over here, or I'm looking at the bag and I'm thinking actually like our possibilities are not bad if we just play off 2. Now, if I play off 2 here, possibility is that you'll have something end with a D here and block everything off. So, let's just... Here, of course, something could go down. I actually do think we're going to just play off either 2 or 1, though. Like you play off 1, then you get this U here. I mean, you'd be looking at 1 and only 1 spot, which is the S under the R. But maybe that's not bad. It'll totally scare him into blocking, though, which is fine because we can probably still play reasonably out of this. And I'm pretty sure Stony is good in his lexicon. This is one of those recs that does not play in the North American book, I think. Unless I'm missing something obvious, but I believe Stonied works. And if it is blocked, then we'll try to see if we can do something here instead. Because obviously playing off 1 is going to make him a little paranoid. Yeah, I guess in Portuguese, the cedilla would be the sh sound, right? If I understand you in chat correctly. Most of what I know about Portuguese phonology comes from bossa nova, so. That's just our base of knowledge here. Now, if this gets blocked, well, we'll see if he does anything with it. Yeah, he tells me he tried to be the trapper, but he might be the trappee. I don't know what he was trying to trap. So yeah, that blocks. I think. Let's see. STO. And yeah, it blocks. Let's see what we can do here. Do I have... I should have taken the time to look at whether I have something decent on top. Starting with O or E. I don't think I do. Also, I should see if I still have something through the R that would have worked here. I don't think so, though. Not with the W in the place that I left it. Anyway, let's just play out of this one. I have no time. And he's not going to play out this turn, I think, with the double situation. Noted or toned? Noted. Obstructs him a little bit more. Well, whoops, hang on. Where do I even go out into with this? SEI. No time. I just have to play it. Yeah, that's better here. Well, either way it would have worked, T or N. But then you have SEI here, and probably SEI here. 16, that's best, actually. Yeah, 16 looks best. And I think we just take it with 12 seconds to go. Okay. Got out of that one safely. And let me just update the record for this one. Puts us even for the day so far, going into the last round. Let's take a quick look here before we get there. And yeah, so in weave does take the D. I was trying to think, like, does that make sense? And it's one of those things where, you know, you have a clear vision of it once you finish the game and look it up, and then you realize, oh yeah, that was obvious all along. I knew that. So yeah, as I suspected, no sevens on the first play. I didn't think there were. And then, oh, look at that acrodont. Something to do with teeth, right? Having teeth fused with a jaw or an animal that has that. Yeah, refaces, goes everywhere. Frescade. Defacers. Yeah, so this does take an S. This could not remember if it did. We can't look at this very thoroughly because I do need to get to the next game. Medicare over here. Interesting. Oh, that was when my opponent looked for a while and played M. And yeah, Inweave was the only one there. So obligés is good. I was considering that. It is valid. But I shied away from it. See if there was anything else really obvious to look at. So yeah, missed obligés. Okay, last round. It's actually going to be a rematch. Yeah, we must have been on a very similar record today. Now, looking at this, I'm sort of thinking we'll probably just go parallel or something for 33 over here. Oh, I don't like keeping IISS, so that... Oh, and OL isn't a word anyway, so never mind that. Let's see what we can do here. Or Zos like this and drop one S. Makes it very obvious I have the other S, but that's okay. I wonder if there's a better way to do this so I can get rid of one of the I's. I think we just have to go with it. Takes a couple of front hooks. Now let's figure out a good way to get rid of the P. The D will go in front of ZOS. That's something that we should keep in mind for later. Over here. You know, it would just go like this. It does take the A in front, but then it locks out that triple, unless, of course, you do something E down below, which we can do if we want to follow it up. My opponent just played off two A's, so I'm thinking that unless he was holding a third, might not take that spot right away. Kind of like that, actually. Let's see. Let's go with it. And then I will get one of the A's to follow it up. And then we'll see what we can do with it. There is Kadi, of course, which is the same as the word with the Q. I think it is just the same. That will be taken, however. And the A in front will kill off any E idea down here. I'm thinking we'll just go something like Kid 21 down here. However, we can actually go here. 38. Oh, I like that. And then we have the S to do a 5 here if we want to follow it up that way. Okay, we have stuff like Dustier, Studier, and so on. Probably just at the end of hole. Except that's going to be taken first. That's okay. We can still play through that. Definitely we'll have plays through the R, although the position might not be the greatest. Like if you get nerdiest for 74, that's looking like first choice right now. Probably we have some things here too. I think erudite might actually take an S in this lexicon, but I'm not 100% on it. But I think it might. There are a few like that that look like adjectives, but do in fact take an S. I have to hang on. Let me look over this. I've seen that because this wouldn't be anything other than erudites. So yeah, okay. So nerdiest reopens the triple 74, erudites 77. I think I'll do it. Maybe it'll draw a challenge. And we've got a dreadful draw out of that, but we'll see what we can do. We do have the ing to work with. If we have a way to string a word through another vowel, like vibing, looks like it's almost certainly the first choice at the moment, if that remains open. If it's not vibing, then we might just go with something like bling, although VMT does not look good at all. We'll see what goes down. Vibing is first choice, I would say, for sure. And then we'll just wait to see what's available. And yeah, as you can see, Luca, there are a whole bunch of variant spellings of the animal that is spelled DZOS. All well worth learning because they are a lot of words that involve the Z with two-letter words that can become three letters and which can become four letters, that you can kind of hook a lot of words to each other while scoring off the Z. So it's a good set to learn for Scrabble purposes. We did get the Q and the U together for stuff like qualm or other things that might work out. So, or quarate through here if we want to triple it. Korma doesn't score with the Q, but that's something we would potentially be looking at. I actually don't know if this would be an alternate spelling of korma. I don't think so. Korma is in the Indian food. So we'd probably be looking at something like quarate. Although the E is in a rough spot. We do have the M to follow it up, but I would expect my opponent might take it. So, yeah, Luca, you're saying there are new 2 to 4 letter words every time you watch. I mean, there are a ton of 4s and they all look like garbage. The 2s and the 3s come pretty quickly, I would say. Everybody learns the 2s and 3s first when they're first learning the game. The 2s, there are about 100 of them, and that's actually quick as long as you can kind of keep them straight and have some kind of context you can give for yourself for how to remember them. So, for example, if you remember that everything in the solfege, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, is in there with variant spellings with the H as well, like do and doh, re and in this lexicon, reh, etc. That gives you a whole ton of 2s and 3s right away. And then you also learn other sets, like a lot of short words are coins or letters that are in Greek or Hebrew. And then if you kind of learn them a bag at a time like that, then they don't take too long to get down. So 3s take a little while to internalize because, even expert players who have not looked at them in a while can still get them wrong. But I would say that even fairly novice players have at least made an effort to try to get them down cold. It's just retaining them and kind of distinguishing them from nonsense that is difficult. You see, the thing about longer words is that it's a little easier to tell that they are, in fact, words. And so with longer words, once you get up to sevens and such, the challenge is to find them. The challenge isn't as often to just figure out whether they are real words or garbage. I mean, you still have to distinguish that much of the time, but it's a different balance of what you're trying to figure out. I actually have QUA down here. Maybe even QUAT if we want to work on rack balance. Although, of course, that would take other stuff at the back, like the E. And so it might be better to just leave it as QUA. Audience, very nice. Very nice. And of course, audience is going to dangle a pretty big spot on the right for an S. However, if we just take it with quate, I don't like the parallels that the A is going to give back there, though. But if you go equate like that, then, that kind of dangles the lane as well, but then at least equate and audience kind of obstruct each other without giving back to parallel. Maybe that's okay. Because, yeah, audience dangles a massive S. Equate would dangle S and D and all that stuff. But they kind of get in each other's way, so maybe that's not as horrible as it looks. Let's go with that. Let's have an X. It will not give me any good plays over the U right now. On this side it will. XI over here is likely what we'll go for. But let's see what happens first. I don't think this is going to give me any 8s, but we'll take a look. Yeah, and so gradually you pick up some things. Like, for example, V's don't have any 2-letter words, which is why V's are considered a blocking tile. C's only have one 2-letter word in this lexicon, which is CH, which is hard to make work sometimes. So C's and V's block. And so that's the kind of heuristic that you have. And then meanwhile, you remember things like how X actually has a 2-letter word with every single vowel. And you just need to remember that it's XU, XI, and then the other 3 are much more common, and they go in front, AX, EX, OX. So gradually, you just kind of get a feel for that stuff. Which tiles are flexible and which ones are obstructive. So for example, because of the V over here, look at that OWO. Well, do we have something that will go over here? Because I should actually see if I can do... I mean, the only thing that will go under here is E. Oh, if we had a T, we could go OXTER. That would hit like crazy. However, the O will just let me go X down there. EX, something EX, REX. Let's just take it. That's going to give back so many points. 66 points here. We will not get a better play than this. Okay, we have Motley's or... Let me think about this. Motleyist. But then it's Motley's by itself, because I think it might be. However, that's not going to go by itself. We need to... Oh, we actually do have Motleyist up top. Motleyist. It's a very easy one to get mistaken because, you might think it's multiest, but it's actually motley or motliest. It is absolutely a mistake I've made before. And yeah, owo and uwu are both in the dictionary now. And last time, Meng, when you were here, I think you saw waifu go down on the board, and it was a situation where waifu was clearly the best play. Then we'll see what we can do on this rack. A little bit constant heavy right now, but it is to our advantage to block now. I think we'll probably just go harps or something here, if it is available. And then hope my opponent doesn't draw into harpsichord chords or something, but I don't think that's possible at this point because that would be the last S is gone, last H is gone, you'd only have one blank. But I'm looking at this and basically thinking, if there were just one more S or one more H here, and then the blank could be the other one, and then you actually could go harpsichords, which would be hilarious. Luca, someone wanted something and chose uwu to be added. That was in Babel Royale, actually, a few years ago. Babel Royale being the kind of Scrabble-like battle royale game. Will Anderson, who has since become the preeminent Scrabble YouTuber, was the one who did that. He basically ranked first in their beta season, and he chose uwu to be added, I think. I think that's what happened. But then the game kind of died by the time that actually happened, which was unfortunate. Now, the thing about harps is that this is a problem. There is enough room for something to go behind it, so maybe we should not go for that. We could go sharp, although maybe that would still be... I don't know. I would like to block stuff off over here. I just don't know necessarily how we're going to do it. Maybe we just go rasp. It doesn't really obstruct that E. But... or maybe... I don't want to keep all these doubled letters, that's the thing. We can also just go... something simple like that. And I would keep an absolutely terrible leave out of that, but right now I'm just trying to think about killing the area. I think between the P and the H, I definitely keep the H. I would really like to get rid of some of this stuff, though. Maybe we just go NA. If there's a better way to obstruct that... I'm trying to see if we could do something with the H beside the S instead. I don't really see it. Yeah, the main thing I can lose to at this point is this spot. It's just that I'm in an absolutely terrible situation with my rack if I block like this. But harps very clearly leaves a spot for sharps. And I might be able to catch it next turn, but And it also doesn't really do anything about the E lane over here. So if we just take out both at once, unless he's finding 9s, I think that'll work for now. But we're in a bad situation. There are 11 in the bag. If we go down to still more than 7 in the bag, so if he plays 4 tiles or less, I think we actually exchange out of this. I'm going to keep the J if I exchange, so we have the possibility of something like a JA parallel up here, and we can still score with it. He's got vowels, and I've got consonants. So I think we just try to keep scoring tiles, actually, and dump the 1-pointers. Like maybe dump all the 1-pointers, L, N, and R, R. And then keep the other ones for small scores. So now we can continue building parallels with stuff like jog. Notice that with a blank S, this is still open. The F would also go over here if we have some way to use it. Like, oh, we don't have the FR anymore, but FRO, if we drew into one of the R's again, would go. I think likely first choice play will be something like jog here. Gives up on the JA idea here, but it's not worth it to keep for that if we can get out of that a little bit earlier, I think. Because there isn't that much else that's going to go with the J at this point, and it will just get in our way. So let's see what happens. Yeah, the more I look at this, the more I think it's going to be JOG. He's not going to open up any space, so I feel like the best possibility for trying to open up something would have been to, if you're in a position of a player who's trying to stretch out, I think this takes both the R and the N, and you would do something like over here to try to get yourself more space on the left side. But it would be pretty easily blockable anyway, so. Okay, 7 in the bag. Let's freeze it and get into the pre-end game. I think Grex is good. Not that we have anything to go with that right now. Also, a very, very long shot would have been O goes under here. S also goes under here. This is still actually technically available, but it would require blank to start that off with S or O. At this point, I think the play will actually be Fro over here if it is available to me next turn. So we'll see what happens. Now it's 4 in the bag at the moment. It may be a situation where after I play something like this, I have to steadily work my way out of drowning in consonants. 2 in the bag at the moment. He's going to try to take that out. That's interesting. Maybe still actually looking at this. That's pretty trivially blockable at this point, though, for me. And with 2 in the bag, actually, I think it is to my advantage to just kill it like this. Unless I have something that I want to go for here. So close to something like inform. Given that I'm consonant heavy and that I can block without emptying the bag, I think I'd just block without emptying the bag. And we get the blank. Look at that. Incant. I'm going to challenge that one. I actually have to think about it. Incant, like incants, like an incantation. I'm going to check it. It's good. Okay, because I blocked up the board myself, this will not really be that interesting. What do you think about this spelling of schlong? Maybe, I'm just thinking, like, would it go like that, or does it require the C? I think that probably is fine. I think that might actually be our best play here, is the schlong. Let me check that I'm ahead by enough that I'm allowed to try it. Like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It would be minus 20 if I miss. 406, he would have to go out with 30 something with ERR, 32 with ERR. So I'm okay. I can actually just try that even if I lose a challenge, it's okay. It looks right to me. It probably also goes with a C, like SCH. And yeah, that draws a challenge. Naturally, it would. So that's a nice play there with the two R's. And let's see what I can do with the remaining R. I mean, I've got a 2-point play here. I don't know that if I can actually do anything better than that. The Schlong is a German version. Germans are never short on words for wieners. Yeah, so both of them are actually valid. Schlong with or without a C. I think, as I was saying, that BOW actually does take the R. I think 9 points there. It might be my best. We'll try it. Unless I'm thinking of BAWR. Yeah, it's valid. Okay, now we had 3 games that I wanted to go over in the analyzer, 2, 3, and 4, because those were the ones with the really close end games. I'll step through this one first to see the available plays. And then we'll go for that. Let me just update the record first to show that we finished on 3.5, 2.5 today. And thank you for the GGs. So yeah, that's it for the live games that are being played today, but we will step through the analysis for rounds 2, 3, and 4 because those were situations that looked like I missed some kind of winning sequence or that I might have made some kind of critical mistake that we want to examine a little more closely. Before that, we'll look at this one. I sometimes undervalue keeping the Z because it is actually so valuable, particularly in this lexicon where it goes behind so many vowels. The Z is, if anything, slightly overpowered when it comes to balance. Let's see if... Look at this. Wow, look at these. Double doubles stringing through ash. Spectacular plays. I would not have known this spelling of dashikis. I know it with the I. But I don't think I actually knew it with the EKI rather than the IKI. Reliefs. Erudites is good, of course. Vibing. Yeah, he took a while to find this one, but he did find it. And a very good spot. Dangling the S at the end, if you're behind, is something that you don't mind doing because you want that volatility and openness on the board. So there was a place for Qualm here. Oh, I didn't even look at Bowl. Or, oh, I didn't know Pasham, I think. EASHM. That's why I wouldn't have seen it regardless. Yeah, so lots of Q plays available here that we didn't actually consider, but let's see what else we have here. Oh, I actually missed Myrex. I should have actually followed this through to its logical conclusion and added the 15 points. Because I just thought, okay, this is obviously to play, we'll just dump it there. I didn't take the extra couple of seconds to see how we could add to that. That was a bit of a goof. Where I just see 60 plus points and I just take it right away. Yeah, Mottlius, Mistlelite, Mistletoe. Mottlius clearly best there, I think. Not just by score, but positionally. Look at this spelling of Nene. I wonder if this is the same as the Hawaiian bird or... No, it's a New Zealand shrub. Good one to know if you have the S on the end too, because you have duplicated tiles that would make this kind of low probability and hard to get to in regular study, but which is also a rack that you might draw based on what you're keeping. So yeah, look at this. This was when I exchanged a bunch. The jeweler was available. I was thinking at that point, I could even shoot for the blank, and I did get it at the end. Just dumping the D unequated was actually still available at this moment with 4 in the bag. But of course, not much space remaining on the board for anybody. What is this? Horde. Obsolete word for a horde. Incant is good. Schlong is the highest scoring play there. And yeah, we did find the highest scoring ones at the end. Okay, let's take a look at the record for the tournament, and we'll go back to the rounds where we requested the deeper computer simulation. So yeah, there were 2 groups that ran today. 2 groups of 6, and then in our group, I did wind up on 3rd. The player that I drew with did wind up on top with 1 loss and 1 draw. And so that's how that went. Let's go back to rounds 2, 3, 4 and take a careful look. Okay, let's pull up the whole screen here. If I can find it. There we go. So yeah, rather high mistake index for me in this game. But we knew there were some problems. So Matt is okay. It actually kind of likes exchanging the MT. But that's about a 0.5 difference in the estimated win percentage here. Hadromes and Sorehead. Interesting. Hadromes. It's to double, hence why it scores so much more. So yeah, this was a big miss. I saw that afterwards Misgrown and Ringworm were both available. I just thought, oh, I'm holding Worming. There's nothing there. So it turns out Worming plus S, Misgrown. Let's try to remember stuff like that for another time. Worming plus R is Ringworm. So yeah, that's a huge, huge miss on that turn. Interesting that it's considering just shedding the vowels here, despite the massive point sacrifice coming out of Vigil. LING has about a 60% bingo draw percentage. That's entirely why it's doing so well. If you look at the average scores next turn as well. The turn over here. Yeah, both of these plays, which are very similar to each other, do all right. On my opponent's side, there is a play here that kills off the S-hook on Sorehead. So yeah, this beeline is considered a large mistake because I didn't find Needler. I was trying to look for something double-double with the IER ending. I just did not see Needler. I just couldn't find it. Weed line also available. And Tactics, welcome. Thanks for the games today. We did step through just the equity tables on them quickly to see some of the available moves and some of the things we missed. But I had some close finishes, including one draw earlier today, so I'm trying to go through some of that right now because I've absolutely made some critical mistakes. Okay, so here, this was where we missed WAKF. Like I said, it's the same word as with the Q. I just didn't visualize it with the K. Very hard to see, but that would have been 72 points. So no wonder you've got this 14% difference in win percentage just from that play alone. And despite it keeping PRV. So I was considering both VAW and Vape. The sim likes Vape, but it's reasonably close. I did look at both of these. Yes, Tactics. There was that one game where I missed a wiki in the top right. When Extra Typo was here earlier, he pointed that out as well, that I had not seen that in my endgame. That was a really tricky one, though, where I was just so far down in time and I was trying to shed some difficult tiles. And that's one where I think I did kind of blunder into the ending. I had time trouble in all of the games where I also had tight endgames today, which, you know, is maybe an instructive lesson. I played D over here. It likes imputed keeping EEG. Oh, I did not see that parallel at all. That's spectacular. At this point, I'm not behind by that much. It is important to score, but I'm also thinking that bingo draws might be possible with the available lanes in play. And yeah, my opponent misses this one over here. It's a hard one to see, particularly with the blank. And what do we have here? I play PE on the left side here. Yeah, because at this point I was just thinking, okay, you know what? It's a constant and heavy bag. I'll just kind of steadily stack points and try to keep things playable. Wasn't really looking at this parallel here, which is preferred. And it has the NG synergy coming out of it. So Philly blocked something of mine, I remember. There was some bingo that was killed off by this. And oh yeah, that's right. I missed Antotic after this because I didn't see NY until the following turn. Not on this turn, but it was on this one. I had echoing. Yeah, that's right. I had echoing on top, and Philly blocked echoing. So he's got a couple of Q possibilities at this point. So I saw. Oh, that's interesting that it doesn't even sim Antotic. That it didn't even come out in the simulation. That's curious. Maybe because it just pruned it right away from the counterplay that was possible over the NY spot. But I did completely miss confetti as well. So So Spooner was a spectacular play. Like it says, it has an 80% win percentage here. But you see, this actually would have lost, I think, because despite a 99% on it, I did have a bingo coming out of it. But maybe the counterplay puts it ahead. It is, with the available pool, maybe underestimating the fact that I did have something up top. But Spooner blocks both lanes, and it's kind of interesting that this loses more often. How is it losing more often? That's the thing. It's seeing that my bingo percentage is much higher if the lanes remain open, and my average score is much higher, but my opponent's average score is much worse. So I think the idea here is that this play makes it possible with 3 in the bag for my opponent to draw into a bingo even if I have one that's going to go down. Maybe that's the logic here with the available draws, that BO would have drawn into something quite different. So yeah, so this blocked both of my spots. It was considered a 6-point mistake to go for this first. But is this even winnable at this point? Best spread plus 28. Yeah, because Spooner was just an absolute killer play. And I missed an actor at the end as well. So that was a very large mistake because I just missed the out when I was thinking this game was turning into the other play that I made over here instead. So yeah, a couple of critical misses here, but I think that was kind of lost earlier than I thought it was. And the thing is, Spooner just absolutely killed it. But this is really interesting. That is thinking BO. So I'm holding ACEI and RT. So there's NOT in the bag. And the thing is, if I have a play that is, like if it's blocking the right spot, then my plays are almost certainly going to be over to Y. And if they're over to Y, they're going to leave something open. Let's see if I can draw here. So the idea was that I had this. I had neck right over here. I had transier down here. Neck right has problems because it is NY is open to S on top, N on top, and O on top. And so maybe the logic here is that is looking at this and thinking, okay, this is going to draw into 3 tiles, NOT. And it's seeing a very high bingo chance going into that turn, that even if I play a bingo, then you have a bingo out going this way, perhaps. Hence the 99% win percentage, that I actually would not have survived that. But my opponent was telling me afterwards that they were actually considering just playing boy over here. That would have lost to Transier. I think Transier would have just killed that. But yeah, I guess the idea is that you block the right side lane, forcing me to play here. Then you've got massive counterplay, regardless of what I'm hooking onto the Y. And a really decent percentage, just given that you're already holding blank. We have to map that out a little more carefully, but intuitively, that's why that's considered a 99% win. We'd have to see what kind of racks were actually available with it, but obviously, if the bingo were available, I would have played it, and one crosses one's fingers that the opponent misses after that. Okay, let's go to the next one. So round 3 was the one we wanted to look at. Round 3 was the draw. And of course, I did lose some points on a challenge on it as well. So yeah, absolutely massive mistake index on this as well. Probably because I blew a win. Maybe that's what happened. So it's saying jived is a large mistake. Actually, yeah. Looking at this now with a clearer head, yeah, we should have gone for this. I mean, we even have the S to tag behind it afterwards. Shouldn't have held the Q into that. I was holding the Q thinking, okay, we still have room to shed the Q afterwards if we really need to, but you're not going to score well with it anyway, so. And that would have prevented this situation here of this kind of retreat going down. I lost 5 points on a challenge, and then the QI on a parallel is to play, obviously. This was a beautiful find over here, Bothrium, and actually the sim prefers something else. It prefers just to go ROM over here. Since this scores well enough with keeping the blank, that is actually favored, which is interesting. How do you say no to a play like Bothrium, though, right? Anyway, Ooze, pretty obvious play, actually. And then Boy is still fine. So, I didn't even see Wriggled's. I guess we didn't really look through the game earlier to see the available plays because this is new to me. I don't know the word Wriggled's. It's a male animal with only one testicle. Would have gone with that schlong that we played in the later game. Oh, this is actually the same thing as Rigel. Wriggled and a Rigel and a wriggling. Ridgeling. So yeah, no wonder this performed terribly. Flat out didn't know that word, so. We didn't have the balls to play it. And this will go wild over here. Semi-wild, look at that. I saw wild, I didn't know semi-wild. It's only kind of wild, you know, it's only partially domesticated. Because I was thinking, okay, we'll play wild because I don't see anything through it. I never would have dreamt of semi-wild here. So no wonder, look at this being a difference between a 70-ish and a 20-ish win rate over here. No wonder we have this massive mistake rating today. Missing this beautiful triple. I wonder if that's in both lexica. I have to check this one. This is just semi-wild. This play would have been completely wild. Instead, we just made half the play, so my play was only semi-wild. Anyway, we got dominoes. A lot of other plays available over here. Actually, Moonish has a beautiful underlap. I saw Moonies and I saw that it didn't fit. I didn't think about Moonish. I didn't think about underlaps in general here, actually, that score quite a bit better than just stretching dominoes this way. Yeah, you're saying that the previous turn, which turn would have been a good equity quiz? Oh, you mean in terms of the choice between the something like the rum in the bathroom? Or something closer than that? Or just in terms of finding something spectacular like semi-wild? Anyway, yeah, I was considering stuff like picks over on the right, peckish under oozes. I've actually completely lost sight of the S possibility under ooze. We didn't really think about it. I was trying on double S's at that point, but actually it's better not to do this instead of taking the few extra points. It's probably a synergy issue, actually, just with C and P still being a little awkward together. perhaps. Not really sure. It's really difficult sometimes to get a good reading on the value of a double S because, double S is very often worse than you think it is. And people kind of hang on to them for too long thinking they have to score with the S. But depending on what it's synergizing with on your rack, like maybe that's still okay. And of course, it depends on the board as well and where the remaining S possibilities are. Yeah, you were speaking of Semi-Wild as a good equity quiz. Yeah, that is really quite the find. Okay, so at this point, this is when things start falling apart a little bit. So look at the massive win percentage loss on this one, actually. That here, we draw okay, I guess. This is 28 rather than 35, but then why does it do so much better? Let's see. Higher bingo percentage for me, somewhat. It's still in the 20s. Higher average score by somewhat. Yeah, it's just entirely the value of keeping the E at this point with only one E remaining in the pool. I think that's what's going on here. And the look at my opponent's rack, that's absolutely an exchange. And then I should have capitalized on the tempo here, but didn't manage to do so. This is when I'm feeling the time trouble really kick in a bit. This is really beautiful. Look at this buffet. Is that the same as a buffet? Is a sideboard. Let's goes with a double F. Considered a little worse than this, but this is considered pretty problematic here. Niner here. Now, why would that be? Let's take a look here. That's on the averages we're dealing with. So yeah, it gives away maybe a higher score back to my opponents. As you can see, actually, it's thinking that this is going to struggle going into the turn after next with the INS. This is hard to intuit, actually, this one here. Maybe it's because, okay, no, I think it's because this might potentially give back too much. My opponent's average score next turn is 29 on this one, 23 on this one. And it is a close game, close enough that it would matter. And so the issue here is that maybe you've got the OB being more vulnerable to some kind of scoring play than the I in this position. Also that there isn't too much that we'd be concerned with as a 3 going to the N. Perhaps. I was thinking there's not too much we're concerned with this spot to the L, but obviously my opponent does parallel on top and hit that spot like crazy. And so opening that would have been an issue. Now, my opponent misses this. Oh, okay, the NA spot. Yeah, no wonder. Because that has huge parallels available as well. And so it's kind of good for me that he misses this, but we don't take advantage of it properly. So this is where we get into the ending sequence where I could not see an out into incur. Here keeps S. So that's 11 points. Gets me over somewhat. Let's see. But if you assume that, yeah, that's the thing, is that this would block. So the thing is, the other thing I was looking at was that if I had enough time to have seen Rins first on the right, and then I play Cal on the left, then that's a draw. But if you can just squeeze a few extra points out with the incur first and then threatening the S, and like I said, I had a massive blind spot for the S spot being available under ooze because SH sometimes can be a little bit hard to see in these situations. Yeah, you saw QIN setting up. Let me see that. Like if I play the N on QIN over here, and then I have an outplay out of that. Interesting. That's 18 off of that. And then the issue with that is that this gets blocked here. I wonder if that matters in that line. Let me see. It's a little tricky to map this out at the moment. But if we're looking at kind of QIN on that turn, then I still have this play available up top for the 15, but it would be a 15 minus 6. So that's a plus 9 on that. And then I might still have something else available with the S. I was thinking the whole time that, I dangled cop over here because I was holding the S to take advantage of that if necessary, but I just didn't have the tiles to deal with it. And look at that. There's actually Snert here, which would have won by 1. So yeah, everything here is considered a large mistake because nobody found anything optimal. What is the block here that would have been possible and which would have prevented me from taking any of the available outs? I should have known Snert because I know Snerted. But under time pressure, I didn't see it. Because given my opponent's mistake, I had another chance to win this by 1. But yeah, either way, though, I wonder what would have happened if we went Snert first and then Cal over here. I guess it would have dangled a consonant for my opponent to play through with something like win, though. And so that would not have done it because win, like if you just play off W and over here, like, do I have my drawing tool? There we go. Like he goes Snert here first. I think that loses because win scores quite a bit more, and then I can't just play Cal here to win. But if I play Rins first, then it's equivalent to the sequence I went with, but preventing the Watt block, which could have killed that idea. And then gone out here, that's still a draw. So basically, Snert followed by Cal would lose to just win, scoring 4 more points than it did over here. So yeah, that's an interesting possibility here. So like if you had here with the N and then follow up, that's still blockable. Then what do you do? Yeah, because at that point I can't really outpace. Okay, anyway, that's an interesting one. I mean, we had multiple chances to win that at the end anyway, and somehow managed to miss all of them. So let's get to the 4th round. That'll be the last one we look at in detail today because it's the last one that I actually requested the sim for. But again, we did manage to scroll through every game at least casually today for the postmortems. So for this one, bag off the start. Doe here. OE over here leaves a lot more room for me to play with and is slightly preferred. Gives me lanes all over the place, actually, whereas this still kind of keeps it closed. This recommends just fishing off one. That's interesting. And then video over here. Steven goes through nicely for a big score that is favored somewhat. Everything's, yeah, that's about a 3% range. So yeah, this was the big miss we were talking about. I had anthems on my rack. I just straight up did not know this. It's Collins only. It's pretty low probability, but it is actually, it goes with Hemitons. We would have come across it if I had just known it's an anagram of Hemitons, actually. Because I saw Hemitons right away and saw it didn't fit. But yeah, that's clearly just a word that we didn't study. And let's see here. So this was the whole associate tonsure sequence. Opponent misses Gyoza. And then I had a big goof here. I was looking for something exactly like farce, and it was right on my rack, and I just didn't see it. That was a vision problem. So my opponent misses the gruesome twosome over here. And Gormless for that matter. So I was kind of holding Fiancé in my rack and was definitely looking at the AMA spot. I didn't realize it would do this well. I should have actually tried that out to see the score, but seeing that was a 40-point play or so just from estimating it, I absolutely should have taken it. Progress over here. This was a huge miss on my part. I should have known this for sure. I've seen it before. Actually, I'm not sure if it's in both lexica. I should check that one. Yeah, it is. I absolutely have seen it. And it's fairly high probability despite the triple E. So yeah, look at that. Just a 40% swing on that play. Given that we need a bingo to even up at this point. So, yeah, we went straight for citrine because I had it on my rack. I didn't take the time to look for ictarine or reinsight for that matter. Ictarine a little bit better here because it doesn't give back the Q spot. That would be wide open. And it's a word I do know, so we should have looked at that rack a little more closely. I did write it down as an 8, I think, and I just didn't visualize it. And an erotic, more dangerous than Ritenito in that spot. Okay, so this is where we start getting into trouble in the endgame. And at this point, my win percentage is actually still considered pretty low. But then I outright lose with Newt. Now, this is in a pre-endgame where you got 2 in the bag. I don't know if it's going to step through the actual draws for me. Basically, a sneaking EWK is my only chance, because then at least we obstruct a triple, we draw into 2. I was definitely looking at stuff like Kivyat. QIV, IUT is something we could draw into, but... So this is actually thinking my opponent making a large mistake here by not trying to go for the Q right away. Because let's follow this line. Oh, look at this. I absolutely could not see this beautiful fit. Whoops. over here with Audad. Wouldn't really have considered it. So it looks close to me at this point, but then Vince or Vug. Vince goes like that. Kudu. Yeah, so at this point I was searching around frantically to see if it was possible to do a J or a Q stick, but there were multiple spots for both, and so that was not going to happen. But it looks like this sequence here with Vince and Kudu would have outpaced a J. Let's see if I can bring this rack back. Because wasn't I looking at Kudu or Kuru or... Oh, I didn't see Kudu in this spot. I saw Kuru up in this spot, which scores much less. Like it scores 16 rather than 19. But I wouldn't have known this spot here, so... Yeah, and at this point, Pink actually has to play. And yeah, very difficult to even see that as a possibility over here. So, but it looked like I was kind of in a losing situation even a little before that, because again, the J and the Q still in the wild and not very easy to outpace with the kind of tiles I was holding. This was the turn when I kind of thought I was in trouble and couldn't see a way to catch just with the available tiles, regardless of the draw that was coming up. But yeah, a lot of the points we lost along the way did end up mattering quite a bit. Again, I was trying to figure out some kind of setup at the end that would give me a way to play through with the K, but the thing is, again, without it being a J or a Q stick, I get outpaced before I can actually lay that down. Wiki only a 9% win. Let's go back to that. Yeah. Well, still better than what I played, but I wonder which draws it's seeing in there. I mean, I guess it depends on how much it matters with the unseen pool that my opponent might still be holding plays with a J that are going to go down on top of the E, like JELL or other things like that. And yeah, that's true. That it's kind of thinking that with this play, it has this 11.1% bingo chance. I wonder which tile that's seeing, actually. Because that's with 2 tiles in the bag, so it's a pool of 9. So it's thinking that it needs to draw 1 precise tile. Because this is 1 out of 9, right? So there's 1 precise tile that would, after EK, actually go with INTUV in the pool. Like maybe uninvite or something? Is uninvite good? Let's... No, it's not. But there's something that it's seeing there as a super long shot fish. Because we would draw 2 out of 9. And seeing that there's one specific, like 1 out of 9 draw that actually happens. I'd have to kind of search this up with blank blank to give it a closer look. Yeah, I guess if you have a very clear idea of what you're shooting for in the pool, then maybe there's something. And then the idea too would be to outpace, where if you draw into the bingo, then maybe you have a situation where the opponent cannot play off both the J and the Q. and then you would manage to capitalize on that. With Wiki, you also have 0% bingo draw. So yeah, it's only if you play off the WK and then it's seeing something. That's a super long shot play. I actually wonder, hang on, let's see if the bot will do this. Maybe to the E, or I'm not even sure if I'm using that command correctly, so because I haven't actually tried to anagram with the bot before. We'll maybe punch it into Ulu or something afterwards. I might have to bring that up actually because I'm very curious. What is it even seeing? That isn't a pool. Hang on. You play this off. There's no O for involute to the E. Just looking at the pool to see what that could possibly be. Like maybe... No, there's no P for punitive. Vituline. Vituline. With an LI draw. Like, assuming that the opponent's trying to shed J or Q, then that might even remain open, right? So, like, you would have... I think that's the one. I think that's the one it's seeing. I would not have seen that as a possibility. But that's what you might see as a draw. Now, I don't know if that kind of gets you to that 1 out of 9 list pool. Obviously, they have the 2 L's in there, the I in there. I can't do this off the top of my head. But you would want the LI draw. Might be something else too, but I don't think so. I think maybe that's what was in the sim. Yeah, that was well out of reach for me, though. So, after unerotic, I think, given what I was holding, it was very difficult to catch. Okay, we'll finish up here today. And yeah, the 2 games that we had together in round 5 and 6, I did step through them quickly on stream earlier. I didn't really quest a sim for it because there wasn't something really specific I wanted to look at, but I might do that afterwards since I'm not at my 5 games a day quota yet. We might request those and take a bit of a closer look. So, congratulations, Tactics, on your 3 wins on your side today. And thanks again for the very entertaining games at the very end. And for joining us for the post-mortem on some of the earlier ones afterwards. This is the first time I've actually had a draw with this group that we play with, I think. And of course, it was a draw from just blowing the ending multiple times, but that's what happens. So we'll take off today. Thank you for joining me at this very unorthodox time. Again, I don't know how often they'll move this group to this time slot, and even if they do in future weeks, I likely would not be able to make it under normal circumstances, but today things lined up very luckily, and so we were able to do this. And thank you once more to everyone who was able to join in today. We'll see if there's some reasonable destination to send you on to next. This week for the stream, we'll be back to a little bit more of post-game in Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, and we may get to the Star Fox remake by the end of the week. But for now, let's go somewhere else. So have a wonderful day ahead of you, or a wonderful weekend, whatever is left of it, wherever you are. And as always, fare thee well. And yeah, you were saying that you may stay up late for future iterations. This is a very good group to play with. I mean, slightly different players today than in the usual time slot, but I have had a very good experience with them in general. It's very smoothly run as long as people actually stay for the matches. Sometimes they run to 6 rounds, sometimes they run a full 10. It's often very decently competitive as a Woogles experience. Yeah, once again, have a wonderful weekend and take care.